Okay, so get this. Today, we're diving into a guide that claims you can make money on eBay without spending any money at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sounds a little
too good to be true.
Too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
But the guide is called How to Make Money with No Money, eBay edition, and it's written by someone called M3SON1C, Dark N3SS.
All right.
So buckle up, because we're about to see if this is genius or just crazy.
Yeah, that one definitely caught my attention.
Right.
The whole premise hinges on becoming an eBay middleman. Finding price differences between listings and taking advantage of that gap.
Yeah.
But doing it all without any initial investment.
Right.
That's the part that really piqued my interest.
Right. We've all seen those side hustle articles.
Yeah.
But this one is definitely different.
Yeah, for sure.
So where do we even begin unpacking this?
Well, the middleman model itself isn't anything new.
Right.
Think about real estate agents or stockbrokers. They connect buyers and sellers and they take a cut.
Right.
This guide is applying that same principle to eBay, but with a twist.
Okay. I'm starting to see how it works.
Yeah.
So you find a product that's listed for cheap,
right,
and then you relist it at a higher price. And when someone buys from you, you use their money to buy it from the original seller, and then have it shipped directly to them.
Exactly.
Profit without spending any of your own money.
Yep.
But isn't that risky?
It definitely has its pitfalls.
Yeah.
But the guide goes into a surprising level of detail.
Okay.
First, M3SON1C, Dark N3SS, stresses the importance of having a solid eBay and PayPal account.
Okay.
Apparently, buyers are more likely to trust sellers with established profiles and good feedback scores.
Makes sense.
It even suggests using a business PayPal account for larger transactions.
Okay.
Which I think makes sense for keeping things organized.
So reputation is key.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
But how do you even find these magical price discrepancies?
Right.
Is it just scrolling through endless listings?
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
The guide suggests focusing on popular items with high demand.
Okay.
Electronics, gaming consoles, things that people are constantly searching for.
Yeah.
For example, they specifically mentioned the PS4 as being a prime target.
Okay.
Using tools that track eBay prices can help you pinpoint those hidden gems that are being sold way below market value.
So there's a bit of strategy involved. You're not just randomly picking any old item.
Exactly.
But let's say you find a killer deal on a PS4.
Okay.
What's next?
This is where things get interesting.
Okay.
The guide says to basically replicate the successful listing.
Okay.
Use the same title, the same description, even the photos.
Wow.
But obviously adjust the price for your profit margin.
Wait, so you're basically using someone else's listing. Isn't that like stepping on their toes a bit?
That's where the ethical considerations come in. Some people might see it as, riding on someone else's coattails.
Right.
While others argue that it's just smart business.
Yeah.
The guide itself emphasizes being transparent.
Okay.
Not trying to deceive buyers.
Right.
And offering excellent customer service.
Mm-hmm. I guess it depends on how you approach it.
Yeah.
But what happens once someone actually buys your...
Right.
Let's call it reimagined PS4 listing.
Yeah, reimagined.
Do you just race to buy it from the original seller before they realize what's going on?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Speed is key.
All right.
M3SON1C, Dark N3SS advises acting fast, buying the item from the original seller the moment you secure a buyer.
Okay.
You use the buyer's address for shipping, so they get it directly.
Okay, so far so good.
Right.
But what about all the things that could go wrong?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if the original seller runs out of stock?
Uh-huh.
Or the price suddenly jumps?
Yeah.
Or what if the buyer wants to return the PS4 because it's scratched or something?
Right.
That's got to be a nightmare.
You're hitting all the right pain points.
Yeah.
The guide does have sections dedicated to returns and pending payment.
Okay, good.
Clearly, even M3SON1C, Dark N3SS knows this isn't foolproof.
Right.
But we'll dive into those potential issues in a bit.
Okay, good. Because right now I'm seeing dollar signs, but also a whole lot of stress.
Yeah.
Before we get into those potential disasters.
Okay.
There's one more thing I got to ask. What's this whole deal about doubling your eBay score?
Right.
Is that like some cheat code to level up your seller status?
Not a cheat code exactly, but the idea is pretty clever.
Okay.
Since you're both buying and selling, you're getting feedback on both sides of the equation, which can boost your reputation pretty quickly.
So you're basically getting double the brownie points for doing double the work, I guess.
Right.
But doesn't eBay frown upon accounts that suddenly shoot up in popularity?
That's a good question.
Wouldn't that raise some red flags?
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
It's possible that eBay's algorithms might detect unusual activity and flag your account for review.
Okay.
We'll need to dig into whether this rapid score increase is a blessing or a curse.
Right.
But for now, let's take a closer look at those potential problems we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Starting with returns.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, dealing with returns is nobody's favorite pastime.
No, it's not.
Right.
All right, returns the bane of any online seller's existence.
For sure.
Okay, so how does our friend M3S11C Dark N3SS suggest we handle these potential headaches?
Well, the guide stresses the importance of being upfront about your return policy right from the start.
Right.
It suggests clearly stating in your listing whether you accept returns and under what conditions.
That makes sense, but wouldn't a strict no return policy scare off some buyers?
Yeah, that's true.
People like having that safety net, just in case something isn't right.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Finding that balance between protecting yourself and not making your listings seem too risky for potential buyers. It might be worth exploring eBay's own buyer protection policies and how they apply to this kind of middleman situation.
Good point. Knowing the rules of the game is crucial.
Yeah.
But what about the actual item descriptions?
Right.
If we're basically copying from the original listing, how can we be sure the information is accurate?
Yeah.
What if the original seller left out some important detail?
That's a major red flag.
Yeah.
You can't just blindly copy and paste.
Right. Yeah.
M3S11C Dark N3SS actually recommends double-checking everything.
Okay.
Contacting the original seller, if necessary, to clarify any missing or ambiguous details.
So due diligence is key.
Yeah.
You don't want to get stuck with a return because the item wasn't as described.
Right.
Especially when it wasn't your description to begin with.
Exactly.
Okay, returns check.
All right.
Now, what about those pending payments?
Okay.
Those sound ominous.
They can be, especially in this fast-paced middleman world.
Yeah.
Basically, a pending payment means that PayPal is holding the buyer's money for various reasons.
Yeah.
Could be a security check. Could be a problem with their account.
Right.
Whatever the reason is.
Yeah.
Means you don't have the funds to immediately buy the item from the original seller.
I see the problem.
Yeah.
So you're stuck in limbo waiting for PayPal to clear the payment while potentially missing out on that sweet, sweet deal you found.
Exactly.
What does the guide say about navigating this financial tightrope walk?
This is where tracking numbers come in.
Okay.
M3S11C Dark M3SS is adamant about providing tracking information to both the buyer and PayPal as soon as you ship the item.
Okay.
Apparently, this can help speed up the payment process,
Okay.
assuring everyone that the transaction is legitimate and moving forward.
So it's all about transparency and proof of action. You're showing PayPal you're holding up your end of the bargain.
Right.
Which hopefully nudges them to release the funds faster.
Exactly.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
But even if payments go through smoothly, isn't there still the risk that the original seller might pull the rug out from under us?
Oh, for sure.
Like, what if they cancel the order or suddenly jack up the price after we've already made a sale?
That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
And it highlights the need for speed and efficiency.
Okay.
Once you get that notification that someone has bought your relisted PS4,
Right.
you need to buy it from the original seller ASP.
Right.
Lock in that price before they have a chance to change their mind or notice the sudden surge in demand.
Talk about a high-stakes game.
Yeah.
This whole middleman thing requires you to be constantly on alert. Monitoring listings, pouncing on deals, and juggling payments and shipments.
Yeah.
It's not exactly passive income, is it?
Definitely not. This guide paints a picture of someone constantly hustling, staying one step ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And that brings up another important point that M3S11C Dark N3SS touches on.
Okay.
Building a system.
A system like some secret eBay algorithm that does all the work for you.
Not quite that magical.
Okay.
But they do emphasize the importance of creating a process for managing your listings.
Right.
Tracking payments and handling customer inquiries.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets, email templates, maybe even some automation tools.
Yeah.
These are all part of building a sustainable middleman operation.
So it's not just about lucking into a few price discrepancies.
Right.
It's about creating a repeatable, scalable process that can handle volume and minimize those inevitable hiccups.
Exact.
It sounds like a full-time job, honestly.
It could be, especially if you're aiming to make serious money.
Right.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's circle back to those ethical considerations we touched on earlier.
Right.
Because even if this middleman method is profitable and efficient,
Yeah.
it still raises some questions about fairness and transparency.
So we've covered the mechanics of this whole eBay middleman thing.
Right.
The potential pitfalls, and even the need for a solid system.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, there's like an elephant in the room.
I think you're talking about the ethics of it all.
Yeah. Is it actually fair to capitalize on someone else's listing like that?
Right.
The guide talks about transparency and honesty, but it still feels kind of iffy to me. Like, you're essentially piggybacking off of someone else's effort and potentially undercutting them in the process.
It definitely raises questions about what's considered acceptable in the world of online reselling.
Yeah.
Some people might argue that it's all fair game. You found the deal.
Right.
You took the risk, you deserved the profit.
Right.
Others might say that it's exploitative, taking advantage of sellers who might not be as savvy about pricing their items competitively.
Yeah, I can see both sides.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's a free market, right?
Right.
If someone is listing a PS4 way below market value, they're kind of leaving themselves open to this kind of thing.
Right.
But on the other hand, it does feel a little sneaky.
Yeah.
Like you're profiting from someone else's mistake or lack of knowledge.
It's a tricky situation.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer.
Right.
Maybe it comes down to intent.
Right.
Are you genuinely trying to provide a service by connecting buyers with great deals? Or are you just looking to make a quick buck?
Right.
Regardless of the impact on other sellers.
And what about the buyers?
Yeah.
Are they being deceived in any way?
Well,
I mean, they're getting the product that they want, maybe even at a lower price than they would have found elsewhere.
that's true, but transparency is still crucial.
Okay.
Buyers should know that they're buying from a middleman, not the original seller.
Right.
The guide does mention this,
Okay.
emphasizing the importance of clear communication and accurate item descriptions.
So it's about setting clear expectations from the get-go.
Exactly.
No hidden surprises, no bait-and-switch tactics.
Yeah.
But even if you're operating ethically and transparently, is this middleman model really sustainable in the long run?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
What happens if eBay cracks down on this kind of reselling? What if sellers start catching on and protecting their listings more carefully?
Yeah.
It feels like a bit of a house of cards.
It does, yeah. One gust of wind and the whole thing could collapse.
Right.
Maybe it's a good short-term hustle, but not something you can build a long-term business on.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
I guess that's for each individual to decide, right?
Yeah.
Weigh the risks and rewards, consider the ethical implications, and see if it aligns with their own values.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all answer here.
Right.
But hopefully this deep dive has given our listener the information they need to make an informed decision.
Absolutely. We've explored the ins and outs of this unconventional eBay strategy.
We have.
The potential pitfalls, the ethical gray areas, and the question of long-term sustainability.
Yep.
It's been quite a ride.
It has. And as always, the best deep dives are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
So to our listener, we leave you with this.
Okay.
Is this eBay middleman method a stroke of genius or a slippery slope? Is it a viable business model or a recipe for disaster?
Good questions.
Only you can decide.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.